Operation Self Reset with Jacob Naraki. What is going on, Resetters, and welcome back to Operation Self Reset, the one and only podcast to truly transform the person you are right now to that person you strive, crave, and want to become. Like always, thank you so much for joining me for today's episode. We have a very exciting episode all about fitness, health, living your life better, from a good friend of mine, Jordan Ponder. He is a natural bodybuilder. We're not talking about diets. We're not talking about exercise. We're talking about a way of life. Small changes make huge results. And that's what Jordan really hits home in this episode. This is a long interview, so I'm going to leave this intro kind of short. But I want to say that today is my birthday, so happy birthday to me. I was born in 1984, so that makes me 29 years old. And when I turned 26 years old on my birthday, that is when I had my own personal reset. And if you guys are interested in hearing my personal story of my upbringing and hearing why I decided to start this podcast, head on over to Operation Self Reset in iTunes or online and go to episode number 1. You can hear about the whole story. But the reason why I bring that up is it's been 3 years now since my own personal reset. And the question I have for you is, when is your reset? When is the time or the day for your moment to realize that your life is not going in the direction that you truly want? You know you have greatness within. You know there's a better way of living. When are you going to find that? When are you going to bring that out? And when are you going to start making small changes to find the huge results in your own personal life? So that is my question to you. And you don't have to answer it right now. I'm not expecting you to sit down and give me a whole a journal on your own personal reset. But that is something that maybe you should strive for in the new year, 2014, is figuring out your new direction in life. If your life is currently going great and you just love this information because it keeps you inspired, it keeps you going, you pick up little tricks and tools along the way, great, that is outstanding. But if you are looking for more of a personal change within your life, try to figure that out. I don't have the answer for you, and I'm sorry for that. But the answer is there. We just need to uncover it. So that's why I always bring on interesting people to give us different points of view, different aspects when it comes to life. So with that being said, I wanted to jump in today's interview with Jordan Ponder. Like I said, he's a natural bodybuilder, great guy, super in shape, super healthy. I have seen him eat before. He is dedicated to living a healthy lifestyle. And the great thing about this episode, it's more than just the fad diets. It's more about, instead of what you need to do to lose weight, it's about a way of living. Healthy habits, to transform your personal body. And Jordan says some great things in this interview that I think you guys will really pull away and really like to hear. And one of the big questions I asked him is, how do we get past those cravings in the afternoon? How do you walk past that vending machine? How do you go to a family Christmas party and see all of those delicious desserts just staring you in the face? And you're thinking, man, I'm on a diet right now, but maybe I could just have a little bit, just a little bit. And he shares a really good insight on how to get past those cravings and how to live your life while still enjoying the great things in life. It's not one-sided, and he just outstanding guy. So glad to have him on the podcast. I'm going to go right into the interview and enjoy it. It is a little longer than normal, but if you need to, please feel free to break it up and listen to part of it now and then half of it later. So we will catch you at the end of this interview. Hey guys, welcome back to the podcast. Today we have a special guest. His name is Jordan Ponder. He is a fitness extraordinaire. I have known him personally for the last 12 years. And he has some great insight and philosophy and understanding of general health and well-being. And the reasoning why I brought him on during this time of year is not only because we are challenged against the holiday eating season, but also too because of 2014 coming up, the New Year's resolutions, all that fun stuff. I wanted to get somebody in here to kind of pick their brain and give you guys a fundamental foundation for starting a good health routine and a new you of 2014. So Jordan, thanks so much for coming on the podcast.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me. Glad to be here.
No problem. You know what? For the people that don't know you, can you just give a quick background of who you are and how did you get involved into fitness and health and everything like that?
Yeah, absolutely. Fitness has been a major component of my life for really as long as I can remember. I've been doing natural, competitive, drug-free bodybuilding for the last 11 years. personal training on and off and whatnot. Much more in the fitness education route right now. I'm an A certified trainer, currently working on my CSCS, which is the highest accredited training certificate. Also, I'm a TRX level 3 instructor, DVRT master instructor, resistance band, dynamic variable resistance training, a number of different certifications as well to go along with it. But above all, I also have more fun as a life coach above all else in regards to fitness and how it relates to their everyday life and also how it can transcend into other portions of their goal setting.
Well, and the reason why I have you on here, because like I said, you have a great background in fitness and stuff. How did you get involved in it? You've always been an active guy, I know, but how did you really figure out, this is something you really want to dive into? Because on this podcast, we talk a lot about passion, and you feel passion relates to, what you truly want in life, and also to, your passion, outside of your normal day job. Can you dive into why you got into the fitness realm?
Like I said before, fitness has been a major component of my life for as long as I can remember, but taking it to the next level really kind of came to the point where I always, for lack of a better term, I tend to want to excel in things. And so I was, at a young age, I was very big into skateboarding. Skateboarding was my life. Every time it was warm outside, didn't matter if it was cold, it was warm, whatever, I was out and I was doing it. Well, in Wisconsin, there's winter. So guess what? 3 months out of the year, you're not skateboarding and you're inside. And then I skateboarded in my mom's living room, and that didn't work out so well. So point being,
it always in the living room or something, right?
Right. Tail slides on the kitchen counter and everything. So there was that. There was drumming. There was film. There was chess. There's all these other things that were opportunities for me to want to have that urge to excel and to express that. But the problem with them is they always required an element outside of myself. What I've enjoyed so much with fitness is so much of it is intrinsic, meaning that it comes from within you and you have so much more control over every aspect of it that you wouldn't have with a band, where now you have to share creative authority, you have to, perform, you have to schedule. There's so many components that are outside of your control. But in regards to fitness and my own progress and my own goals, I'm in more control of those than anybody.
Cool. Now, to kind of start at a foundation spot here in this conversation, let's act like I'm starting from the beginning. I am an individual that understands fitness is important. I want to start resetting my life towards a better me, eating better, feeling better. I understand good food equals good energy output, everything like that. Can you tell me, if I walked up to you and said, Jordan, you know what? I'm just looking for a starting point, somewhere to begin my reset in 2014. Where would you guide me? What would you say to me?
What I would say is one of the biggest principles that I always articulate to people is that small, consistent changes produce dramatic results. Basically means that you're going to adapt to implied demands. So right now, regardless of whatever fitness level you're at, whether you're an elite athlete or you're just beginning, as you stated in this scenario, you are just beginning, I would tell you to list out exactly what are your variables. How often are you working out? What are your workouts like? How would you rate them in intensity? How would you rate them in frequency? How would you rate your eating? How would you, how often do you go out to eat? How often do you eat at fast food restaurants? How often do you eat at your house? How structured are you with your eating? All those different components, as well as, of course, you have to take into account rest and stress, because that has a component upon your fitness ability, as well as exercise and food and whatnot. You need that rest. You need that reprise as well. So taking those things and looking at all those variables and then finding what small change can you do immediately that you can sustain for 2 to 3 weeks. So for example, if you're somebody who let's say you rate your eating at a 3 out of 10. So 10 being high, 1 being very low. You say you're at a 3 because you come home from work, you have to go to McDonald's because the food's so available. You just got to go through the drive-through, you come home, you do that 3 days out of the week. To that person, I would say, okay, well, let's make a small change out of that. So now let's just say 2 days out of the week, you get to do that, but that one day you have to have a planned, structured meal prepared for you when you come home, slow cooker, whatever else, frozen meal, something that you have actually planned out and prepared. So when you come home, you can avoid that variable of added calories and basically wasted food, where it's not really providing you with any kind of nutritional value or energy production. So a component of that, so making a small change from a nutritional standpoint, also make it a small change from your fitness standpoint. So if you say, I'm not doing anything, I'm not working out at all. So I'm going to rate that at a 0 out of 10. Okay. I'm not going to put that person on a program where they're doing high intensity interval training. They're at peak performance, maximal performance, all of those things. Right. Rather, I'm going to find a way of, okay, you're not doing anything. Let's just get you moving. Let's work on some mobility, some stability, some mild cardiovascular work, just enough. And it could be just simply 10 minutes of walking on a treadmill. Because the idea is those small changes, as they happen consistently over the course of time, will produce, again, dramatic results. So you make a small change to your nutritional aspect, small change to your workout routine, and also now, you realize kind of what your stressors are, what are the things that cause you possibly anxiety or make you, you're not sleeping as well at night, you're not allowing yourself enough time to get to rest. Make a component to that also we can improve upon. Now, as you make small changes again, and then you continue to make those small changes over the course of several months, 6 months, then you have looked back at all the variables that you've adjusted, and you see that you've actually lost weight just in a way that's very manageable and obtainable. I think what happens a lot of time when people want to restart themselves is they say, stamp on the day, this is it, everything is different, I'm going to make this huge leap, this huge jump, my life is completely turned around. That's great and that's good and all, but I really equate it to having a pendulum that you pull back really far. So it's at neutral, okay? So it's perpendicular to the ground. You grab it, you pull it all the way back, and now you're holding on to it as much as you can. However, you can't sustain that. So that boiled chicken, that flavorless broccoli, all that stuff that people try to eat, canned tuna, whatever else it is, and working out 8 days a week, throwing an extra day for good measure, right? So they try to hold it up there and sustain it. They realize that they can't because life happens. It's just the way it goes. One small hiccup happens, you let one finger loose. All of a sudden you get tired. One more finger goes loose. Now eventually you've let go of that pendulum. So it was way up there before, now swings completely the opposite direction, even further. Consequently, a lot of the people who have a all or nothing mentality, which I would, kind of equate to that metaphor, tend to end up doing nothing, if not worse off than they were before. I think actually moderation is, for me, I'll say moderation is actually more challenging at times than absolutism. And I think when people operate in moderation, they now take that pendulum and they pull back just a little bit. But they can sustain it. They realize, okay, this is good. I sustained it. Now I'm going to change my variables again, pull back just a little bit more. Now you sustain that again. And you keep going back to the point where you are happy and you're satisfied and you're at the place where you want to be and you can sustain it. So it's being able to balance those out to really allow us for a healthy lifestyle, which is what this is about.
Sure. And when you're saying pull that pendulum back, you're basically saying like those fad diets, those, Atkins or, these programs that are meant to really kind of get you going. I mean, they're good. I mean, they give you kind of a outline plan when it comes to figuring out a good way for the next couple of weeks, but you're saying that that's not a way to live the rest of your life.
No, and really this is about a lifestyle. Like I don't teach diets. Well, I am entirely 100% against diets because what diets do is, well, okay, I'll speak for myself. As a natural bodybuilder, when I diet for competitions, I'll lose 30 pounds in the course of 20 weeks, 18 weeks. That's with the intent of gaining every single one of those pounds back. Oh, sure. Meaning that I am much happier right now in the off season with my cheeks and my well, I'm still in shape, of course, as you know.
Yes.
But I know that I cannot live at that weight. I can't live at 4%, 5% body fat.
Right.
That's not a way to be. So it's about a lifestyle. So within that too, the problem with diets, I'm not picking on any single diet, but the idea of I only do this, I only eat this, I only have this. It restricts you in a way that you can't sustain. You only diet when you want to gain it back. Okay, so you diet if you're trying to get ready for a wedding dress. You diet because you're trying to get ready for a weight loss challenge at your work or whatever else it is. But for something that you can actually manage, that's a lifestyle. And the way you do that is through principles, not through just absolutism, through understanding the fundamentals of fitness and of nutrition and all of those things and while many diets are great, what makes them fads is when they're fads for individuals. People make them fads, meaning that they latch onto them and they don't sustain them, so they go away. So there are diets that are, I only use diet to speak to those specifically,
Right.
but those ways, those those ways of eating rather are great, but they're great when you can sustain them. If you can't sustain them, you have to really rethink it. Now, there's a number of different great things out there, and you can talk to 50 different people and get 50 different opinions. And nutritionists feel one way about things, and bodybuilders feel another way about things, and CrossFitters feel another way about things. And I think what it is at the end of the day is finding what you can do and what you can sustain, what really provides you with a healthy lifestyle.
All right. So that sounds perfect. And I think that's a really good starting point for people that just don't have a direction. Taking little things and amplifying them over a course of time. But what happens when you get those moments of, Christmas is coming up, the New Year's, my birthday, a weekend at my buddy's house, I know that I need to continue to eat healthy, keep active. But when these weekends come, I might fall off the bandwagon. What would you tell me?
I would say you don't fall off the bandwagon. Okay. You step a foot out.
Okay.
Okay. And meaning that yes, Christmas is coming up. If you're unless you have some massive medical problem or you have a hard deadline that you're shooting for, I would encourage you to enjoy the food that your family has made and prepared for you in a way that's responsible. Meaning that you get to give them the gratitude and appreciation of eating their food. My wife's Filipino, so food is like a religion, okay? So, right. But, that's a whole other story. Right. But anyways.
Episode 2.
Right. But the point being is, it's a way of showing like appreciation.
Right.
Now, you're going to have a piece of this pie, right? Who says how much you have to have?
True.
Who says you need to have 3 slices?
True.
What helps me too is I understand that I like to taste things. So I will taste them. Does not mean I will get full on them. It means I will taste them. And if you pay attention a lot of times to when you're eating food, there hits a certain point in which you're eating it and you're like, okay, that was good, but you keep going just because it's on your plate. So understanding that you want to leave yourself wanting more. That's how I do my family the best justice, where I have a taste of their food and I'm like, that was fantastic. You know what? I would eat so much more. But you know what? I'm not going to right now because I don't have to. I've tasted it. I enjoyed it. It was delicious. But I also understand my goals are, and I don't want to fall off the bandwagon as you had called it. Rather, what you're doing is you're taking just a modest, mild, responsible reprieve. Mm-hmm. So you're just stepping a foot out.
What do you say? Like, would you suggest that if I work hard all week, do you feel that a cheat day is necessary or a reward? Can you reward yourself being in this program?
There, absolutely. For what I say, again, my personal philosophy, my personal methodology is you need to have something to look forward to. It's all about pattern progression periodization. So you have a pattern, you have a way of progressing through that pattern, okay? I mean that you're making a little bit more small changes again, and you have a period. So then my period ends at a week. Okay, so my goal for this week is to have this pattern to progress this way, the small change that I've made, and now my period ends with a cheat meal, for lack of a better term. For somebody, again, if you have medical problems, you need to consult your physician and all of those things, and you need to be, of course, responsible with what you're doing with your cheat meal. But the idea is to give yourself something that you enjoy.
What do you enjoy?
Important.
What do you enjoy?
For myself, this is really weird, but I love brie. I absolutely love brie. I love cheese. Wow. I love crackers. It's the first thing that comes to my mind.
That's
something that I really,
too, right? But
I'm getting really hungry right now. I like all the food that's running through my head. The idea is it gives me something to look forward to. Yeah. So what I like doing too is my daughter loves going out for breakfast. So when I'm dieting for a competition, again, dieting, so I still give myself even that cheat meal that during my diet. So I'm actually preparing for a competition on a national stage, and I still provide myself with that. So for someone who's doing a lifestyle, how much more so? Point being, my daughter loves breakfast. I love breakfast. That's what we'll do. So that's my idea of, you know what? This is the treat for her. This is the treat for me.
Cool. Okay. What about, we all get those cravings. We are starting a new regimented. We're trying to do our best, stay focused. We walk past that vending machine. We walk through a grocery store. We pass the cookie aisle, and it's just screaming at us in the face. It's happened to everybody. Do you have a tip or suggestion for even myself to bypass that, to just get over it? Do you just do a mind trick? Do you drink, lemon juice to sour your mouth?
Sure. For me, what it is everybody has like triggers. There's like a lot of like behavioral stuff. So you develop a method, like you develop your own pattern. So for me, this is when I would hit that point, right? Was when my kids are fantastic, love them to death. But like 3:00, I'd always be kind of like, okay, all right, I want everybody to go to bed, just relax, I just want to sit. So I knew that was my point where that was metaphorically passing by the vending machine.
Okay.
But what I would do is I got almond butter, and it's better than peanut butter. It tastes fantastic. I got myself just a little teaspoon of it. It was enough to pacify me. So the idea is find something that you enjoy, something that's reasonable, okay, and allow yourself that. So if you like almond butter, if you like sugar-free Jell-O, if you like sugar-free pudding, if you like sugar-free popsicles, if you like another thing that's great for me is I really like doing Greek yogurt with sugar-free Jell-O inside of it. It tastes great, and it's for all intents and purposes guilt-free.
Yeah.
So it's knowing your cue and preparing for your cue, because it's gonna happen. You're gonna have that moment where you're used to going to the vending machine. Well, now you have to know that's going to happen, and what's your response going to be? You're deciding upon not giving in to that, and so you're going to give yourself something else to fall back upon.
When it comes to this podcast and everything that I've been speaking to the community out there, it's a lot about mindset. And when it comes to food, when it comes to fitness, it is a mindset. You have to mentally get yourself prepared to work out. You mentally have to keep yourself mentally strong to bypass those sweets, or to understand, instead of that Snickers bar, I'm going to go home, have that Greek yogurt and Jell-O, whatever it may be. You believe, and I know that you understand, mental toughness is key to physical just well-being. You mind going a little deeper into that?
Absolutely. There's a lot to it. There's a lot that I could say. And, I call it more preparedness, being prepared. Like, so working out, for example, there's lots of times where you're not going to feel like you want to work out. You feel tired. You feel unmotivated. Well, if we all go off of our feelings, we're not going to go anywhere. That's not how you restart yourself.
That's a great
if
point.
If you make a decision, it doesn't matter how you feel anymore. So there's a certain amount of like, militantism, if that's even a word.
Sure. We'll go with it.
Why not? I just made one up. Webster's Dictionary, put it down. Anyways, so being militant about it, where you have made a conscious decision, you are committed to that decision, and you are not going to be driven by impulse or by feelings. One of the ways that you can do that when it comes to workouts specifically is everyone's got a calendar somewhere. Decide if you're working out 1 day a week, and you're making your small change into 2 days a week, find 2 days during the week that you are committing to and you're deciding to perform your workout. Put a circle on those 2 days. That way, when you look at your calendar, I decided already that I'm going to work out on this day and I'm going to make it happen. When you've completed that, put an X through the circle as a way of completion. Again, this allows you to kind of track out your own personal progress, and to 6 months down the road, look back and see that there was a point in time where you were only working out 2 days a week, and now you're going 5 days a week, or you're even working out 4 days a week, or you've made some sort of small, consistent change. And now through a pattern of time, it has made that dramatic effect. So it's making the decision and sticking with it. It's knowing that you are going to feel like the vending machine is in front of you and you want to give in, but knowing that you've made a decision. It's I don't know if there's a way to really articulate it much more other than when you have yourself set on that and you make yourself accountable to it, that's it, and it's really is about, the calendar is going to be a great way of doing it as well, because you have to decide. I think a lot of times people the reason they give into impulse is because their motivation is within themselves. And so when you're motivated within yourself, anytime that you walk by the vending machine, now you're motivated within yourself to have this food, okay? Because you taste it and you want to eat it. But if your motivation comes from something that's bigger than you and something that's greater than you, whether it's your family or it's your parents or it's a 3-mile run or whatever else it is, a challenge that you have, if it's something that's larger than you, then your feelings no longer matter because your outside influence, your motivation is bigger than you and it's constant. So for example, there was somebody who was, told me he had a child late in life. His daughter's 2 years old. This gentleman is, older. I think he was about 45 or so. And he was like, man, I really just want to work out and I just want to get into shape and all of this. And this person was more motivated than most bodybuilders I know. And it was fantastic talking with him because he had a goal or he had something that was motivating him that made him decide on, improving his life, doing that self restart that was bigger than him. So when it came time to, I'm tired, I don't want to work out, this or that or whatever, his motivation wasn't him anymore. It was his daughter. It was somebody that he loves and he cares for and he wants to be with. Now, there are some people who may not have family or whatnot. I understand that. And that's why there's an element of providing yourself with a challenge. One of the reasons too why I love bodybuilding is I have a hard-lined date where I need to show up and I got to perform. I have no choice. I got to be ready by this day. So a year out from the show, I'm already thinking about it. So no matter how I feel or whatever excuse I have within myself, I have already committed to this day. And consequently, it's a way of something that's outside of myself. It's bigger than me. So if you don't have a family member or somebody who you care for that you can, participate in these things with, or have use them as a motivational tool, you certainly can provide yourself with challenges. There's runs all over the place. There's all sorts of things you can do, or just find a community of friends who you can kind of complete a challenge with of sorts. Yeah. I really think that there's also being motivated to succeed. A big thing with sports psychology is, what is it that motivates you? Are you motivated to achieve success, or are you motivated to avoid failure? People who are motivated to avoid failure are basically afraid of messing up. This is the person who is dieting, sees food, and says, I better not eat that. I'm not going to 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 eat that. What do? They go and they eat it.
Right.
Someone's like, I'm not going to skip my workout. I'm not going to skip my workout. What are they going to do? Skip their workout. So what are you focused on? Are you focused on the positive or the negative? Obviously, that one is motivated to avoid failure. So you're focusing on the negative and you're going to go right towards it. Now, versus somebody who says, I'm walking by the vending machine. I am going to eat my Greek yogurt and my, Jell-O,
sure.
Sugar-free Jell-O. They now have diverted their attention away from failure towards success. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do my workout. I'm going to do 2 workouts this week. So when you focus on what you're doing versus what you're not doing, you will succeed. And that's a huge component for me. Go ahead.
You have a good kind of acronym for like goals. We were talking. Yeah. Do you mind going?
Yeah, it's not really. I would love to take credit for it.
Okay, that's fine.
But it's just kind of a big thing out there. It's SMART goals.
Yes.
And really, you have to have goals. Most people just work out because they want to just get in shape, and that's great and cool and all, but it's not very definitive. And that's where the SMART goals really comes into play, because it really helps you put together a solid foundation as to what you're shooting for. Why are you doing what you're doing? It's all an acronym. Again, it's SMART goals. So the S is for specific, meaning someone who wants to get in shape. Okay, I want to get into shape. Well, how do you define shape? I want to lose some weight. Okay, so you want to lose weight. What do you mean you want to lose weight? I want to lose 10 pounds. Okay, good. There you go. So that'd be right for your specific. Measurable, meaning that you can actually put it together. You can actually see it in some way. You can see it. You can measure it. It's like it's tangible. Okay, someone who just wants to get in shape, that's not really tangible. Now, somebody who wants to lose 10 pounds or wants to improve their sprint speed by 15 seconds for whatever else, but it's actually measurable. So there's a way of seeing, I have achieved this. Now the A is different for some people, but for me, I like to use it as accountable. goals should hold you. You should be held accountable in some way, and that's where a community can be helpful, friends, family, whoever else. And the last thing you want to do is consistently preach to them what you are doing, but you want to make sure also that there's a way that your goals have been vocalized, and then you let your actions speak from that point on. So now you've actually vocalized, this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to lose 10 pounds. You don't have to say it over and over again. Now you're holding yourself accountable because you vocalized it, but your actions now are beginning to speak for it. So that you no longer have to speak through words, but now you're speaking through actions. So accountability is huge as well. Then it'll be realistic. Somebody who wants to, lose 60 pounds in a week, that's not realistic.
Right. Not at all.
So you have to be able to be something that's tangible, something that's obtainable also is going to be incredible, so that you can actually be motivated. You can be, you can strive towards something that you can actually obtain. So again, being realistic, and then T would be within time frame. So if you just say I'm going to lose 10 pounds, but you don't give yourself a deadline, then how do you know when you've actually hit the mark? So give yourself like a time frame by which you're going to do this is huge. It gives you that kind of self-accountability where you realize I got to show up for this. And I was speaking about bodybuilding competitions where I have to show up at this time frame. I have to be ready by this point. It doesn't change. And also that time frame is something that is consistent. Additionally, goals are always, I pair them up, and you have your micro goals, you have your macro goals. So your micro goals are smaller goals that then produce into larger goals. Again, that small consistent changes produce dramatic results. So what's your small change? That's your small goal. So my goal for this week is to work out 2 days. Okay. That's a very specific, measurable, obtainable, accurate, realistic, and within a time frame. So it fits that acronym as well. And then those small goals will feed into your macro goal, your bigger goal, which is to lose that 10 pounds.
Well, goals can go not only with health and well-being, and that's why I love having you on here, is because you believe all of this applies to life in general. I mean, you're not only a fitness guru, a gentleman that enjoys bodybuilding, but you're also a person that understands life and setting things for success, believing in yourself and all of that. Kind of to pull it to life and fitness, do you believe keeping yourself within moderate shape will give you good results through your life? Would you have better relationships because maybe your energy is up more? Do you feel that being in shape could enhance your productivity at jobs, getting more output? Is there any relation that you can see there that you have found personally talking to other individuals?
I think, I don't know if I can say as specific as maybe you've pointed out, but what I would say though is the reason why I classify myself much more as a fitness educator and less of a fitness trainer is because the principles of fitness apply to so many other things in a way that I provide people for free, just for myself. I mean, the principles that fitness really applies and showing how they they equate into other parts of your life. Those are the things that will help you with your relationships, with your job, and whatever else. And so while the physical improvements are of course great, I always see those as almost like a secondary benefit.
Okay. Just
because what fitness at least has taught me in so many aspects has helped me immensely in countless other areas of my life. One way I'll say, and just in particular, is the idea of fitness is you are improving yourself through a struggle. You are putting yourself into a challenging atmosphere. You are pushing through it, and you are coming out on the other end, potentially all the while wanting to give up, not giving up, and coming out better on the opposite side. I think that principle alone will improve, and applying that into relationships, into work, into other things, that taking that component into other areas of your life will have more profound effects than necessarily having a lower heart rate or having a lower blood pressure. All these things are still fantastic. It's understanding that struggle isn't bad, but struggle is a chance for success.
When it comes to your own personal fitness goals and opportunities, when you set that date a year out, year and a half, I think is your next one, whatever it may be, what is your mental game plan for that year? What is your mental game plan of that day? And what happens when maybe you just didn't perform at that elite level that you have been training for and busting your butt for the last year and a half? Let us inside the mind of Jordan Ponder. Tell us.
It's a scary place.
Very deep, very dark. But, a lot of people have these fears and, the struggles of, failing over something. And, you're literally laying it all on the line for a year to get a result for one day, one opportunity to prove yourself. And if you don't, produce well in that day, it's a total mental mind game after that. So give us like kind of the whole game plan in the route throughout that experience.
There's a lot to it, and as I answer your question, I encourage you to break down different aspects of it. But one thing you mentioned too is people who are like afraid to fail.
Yes.
You said that.
Go ahead.
When you're I'm trying to see a way of phrasing this without being too intense, but people who are afraid to fail never achieve anything. If you put yourself into a position of failure, you are putting yourself in position. If you're afraid to fail, you won't do anything. You won't, because you're just terrified. Versus if you're willing to step out and actually try something different and challenge yourself in a way, even put yourself intentionally in a position to make a mistake, to not achieve your goal, that's when you come out better. That's perseverance, and that produces character. And that's so much stronger. And so that's something that I consistently run through my mind. Like every time I'm preparing for a competition, I intentionally, this sounds strange, but I intentionally put myself at last place. I intentionally put myself at last place and say, are you willing to put in all this work into dieting, into sacrificing all this time, energy, and effort and training and still get last place? If my answer is no, then I'm not going on that stage. But if I'm willing to say, I'm willing to work this hard and go out there and get last place, then I'm ready to get up on stage. And I think that provides me with so much like power, because no one could take anything from me. I have nothing to lose. Right. If I'm willing to commit that much energy towards a goal and say, I'm going to do this, and I might not obtain the outcome that's ideal, but I'm still willing to go ahead and do it, then I'm ready to go. At the same time, it's important to note that for me, when it comes down to bodybuilding also, I decide success. No judge decides success for me. No judge decides if I'm good enough or not, nor the competitor decides that. I decide that, because this is a very intrinsic sport, and I don't even call it a sport. Like I do consider it like an art form, and within that too, I am only competing against myself. I don't care who's on stage next to me. I don't care where the judges place me. I don't care what trophy I get or don't get or whatever else, because it doesn't matter to me. What matters to me is, am I better than I was before? And that's where the principles of fitness are such a huge component into other areas of life too. So that's why
I love you, man, because that's a great point. And people can relate that more than just the fitness and what we've been talking about for the last 20 minutes or so is the things and the values that you can take from this conversation into your own personal life, and understanding it's more than just getting that trophy at the end or being last place. If you're personally satisfied, if you gave everything. And that's one thing people are tough to do. They don't want to put it all out there because they don't like results. They don't like to see results from somebody else. But you need to be happy with the results of your own personal self.
Absolutely. And so there's things that you can control and there's things that you can't control. And, again, speaking about sports psychology, there's relevant cues and irrelevant cues and all those different things. And what I find to be, what I can control is my own performance, meaning I can control how I did my diet, how committed was I to it, what did I do, and was I better than I was at the previous show? And I can say that I have gotten better. The last bodybuilding competition that I did, I was the best I've ever been. I got 7th out of 8, but I felt like I got first place.
Sure.
Because I just knew that I was the best I've ever been. And that was a fantastic feeling for me. And no one can take that from me. Versus if I take my success and I give it to an outside force, an extrinsic force, or something I have no control over, I could be the worst I've ever been, still get first place, and then now I feel great. Or I could be the best I've ever been and get last place and feel terrible. So now we have two versions of myself, okay? The worst I've ever been and the best I've ever been. The worst I've ever been received a high prize. The best I've ever been received a low prize. Consequently, I feel great about myself when I'm at the worst. That doesn't sound right. Oh, but then I feel the worst about myself when I'm at my best. That doesn't sound right either. Versus if I understand myself, where I've come from, what I've done, and what I achieved, and realize that no one can ever take that from me, that it's mine, that you can't go wrong. And so it's understanding what I have control over. What I have control over is my own personal performance. And when it gets better, I'm satisfied.
What do you say to people, though, that go, Jordan, man, yeah, but you were 7 out of 8. I mean, you really believe that you were the best that you were at that on that day, but the results show. I mean, we are a result-driven society. We love the awards shows. We love American Idol because we like to see who's first, who's last. What
there was a documentary that was I saw about like a year ago or whatever. It was called Happy.
Okay. Yeah,
it was all about it was all about like, breaking down like the science of happiness and all these things, whatever. And there's people who are like happy because of outside forces, people who find happiness through like inside forces. People who are more happy are the ones who are able to find happiness through internal forces. So through things that they can actually have control over. People who are less happy tend to be people who find happiness through outside forces that they have no control over. So what I would say to them is, well, you were at your best. Well, that's all that matters. For bodybuilding in particular too, so much of it's driven by genetics, by so many things that I can't control. I cannot change alternate my genetic code.
Right.
And so
because
I can have
natural bodybuilding.
Absolutely, 100%. And with that being said, there is somebody who can be genetically 10 times better than I am. And I would never beat them ever in my best possible day of my life. I cannot control that. So with bodybuilding, I can't control who shows up on stage. I have no idea who's going to be there.
Right.
And to be perfectly honest, I don't even care because I know that I'll be there. So I also know that I'll be there, and I still remember where I've been. I realize where I've come from, and I keep photos of where I've been and different shows that I've done, and I kind of track my progress, say, well, here I was not so good, here I was good, here was this, here was that. And consequently, the only person I see on stage is myself and the last 11 versions of me. And that's all that really matters to me. And so while I can understand that we are a result-driven society, and it's understanding that we are, but that's letting your emotions be dictated by feelings yet again, just like that vending machine. So now you walk by that vending machine, now you feel like you want this. Well, if you go by your feelings and your impulse, you're going to go insane.
Right.
Versus if I go by this outside force that's consistently changing, just like feelings, I'm going to go insane too and be going back and forth. Versus if I'm actually go off of a decision and off of a focus and being under control, then no one can take anything from me.
Yeah.
So it's very, fitness really provides, a lot of like self-empowerment too. And a lot of, self like fulfillment and self strengthening too. More than just the physical aspect. Like the physical aspect is so important, and I hope people do continue to research and commit to it also. But understand that so many other things, and I can speak from my own personal experience, you learn so much more about other things through the whole process.
Cool. I know bodybuilding incorporates a lot of visualization. You're posing, you're mentally getting yourself prepared. And I know, and I don't think you and I have ever talked about this, but I know you are one that believes in visualizing yourself, going through different movements and preparing yourself, activating different things, not only in your body, but in your mind. What does Jordan Ponder do? And if you wouldn't mind sharing maybe your insight to somebody that doesn't get that, doesn't understand, why do I need to visualize myself doing certain things to achieve success or to put myself in a better position to achieve success? How do you explain that to somebody that is coming in on ground level here and trying to gather these ideas and understand visualization for their own personal success?
Yeah. It's funny. I lose my keys all the time, even coming here. I was like, baby, do you know where my keys are? And the reason why I always lose my keys is because I'm constantly visualizing. I'm all day visualizing. I very rarely ever am exactly where I am mentally because I'm thinking about the next step.
Yeah.
So that's basically what it is. That's how we decide it, is it's thinking about what's the next step. Sure. And a big way of visualizing is to use your vending machine metaphor. Knowing that when you go into work, that at 11:30 you're going to walk by the vending machine because you do that every single day.
Right.
So now you're visualizing yourself there. You're just imagining it. Now you understand that you're going to have this impulse, this feeling to want to go to that vending machine. That's when you get the chance to reprogram yourself. You get to say, rather than my response being, I'm going to go to this vending machine and get, this Twinkie out or whatever else, I'm going to replace that and reprogram this into it. Meaning I'm going to go and have some macadamia nuts, some kale or something else that you decide is a healthy alternative. So what I would say is visualization is putting yourself into a situation and like planning for it. So it's even as simple as, and everybody does it. I mean, when you're driving in your car, you visualize yourself getting into work.
True.
You visualize yourself getting into work. You're preparing yourself for it. You're programming yourself what's going to happen next. So taking that same component and applying it into health and fitness, and to knowing that when you wake up tomorrow morning, you may not want to work out, but now you're deciding that I'm going to now reprogram my own self by visualizing myself getting up out of bed, being tired, and still going to my basement to work out, or going to my living room, or going to the gym, wherever your facility is, and performing this task. Now, the power behind visualization is that when you make that reprogramming, when you hit that experience, you hit that waking up in the bed, now you go back off of experience. Visualization allows you to replace experiences. It's like a dream you've had, right? You think you were there, but you weren't really there.
Right.
So now when I wake up in bed, I say, oh, I really don't want to work out right now. Well, you already know that you've been here before because you visualized it. You imagined it. And what did I do the last time I felt this way? Oh, that's right. I went and worked out. That's what I'm going to do right now.
Cool.
And so that's why visualization is such a powerful thing. Speaking for myself and how I visualize, visualization is always about the next step. It's just what do I have to do next, and how do I prepare for what's next, and what good outcome do I want to happen through what's next. Consequently, when those situations arise, I'm prepared for them. So I know what I'm going to have to do. Right. So whether it's, okay, when I get home, I'm going to have some cottage cheese. Where's the cottage cheese? It's in my refrigerator. I'm going to get a fork. I'm going to sit down. I'm going to talk to my wife. Talk about, this Jake Naraki guy. He's an amazing interviewer. Oh my God, his podcast. Everybody just check it out, please, for dear God's sake.
Please stop it.
So basically, it's preparing myself. And I hope that people can just think about themselves and how they do visualize and how they are preparing for what's going to happen in the next 5, 10, 15 minutes, the next 5, 10, 15 years, whatever else it is, and see how you can transpose that into portions of what you're currently doing.
All right, so I'm going to put you in a situation. A lot of people have been emailing me about wanting to change themselves personally, but they know that when it comes to changing themselves and now relating it to health, I want to give you a scenario of, say this person is heavier, out of shape, not the place that they want to be. After hearing this, after realizing the new year's coming, different other things are happening in their own personal life, they realize, I need to stop doing what I'm currently doing. I need to start focusing on my own personal fitness, personal health. But he or she knows that in the process, the people that he or she hangs out with will not respond nicely to it. They might think of it as more of a, why are you doing this? This is why can't you just be happy of who you are and just hang out with us still? Why do you have to start changing your eating habits? Why are you taking extra time at the gym? And you might have to start pushing away from these people. What would you say to that individual?
I would say, as I mentioned before, there's things you can control and there's things you can't control. And there's like those internal forces, those external forces. I would place that person as an external force and something that I cannot control. Within that, I would say that it sounds weird to say about a friend, but they are then an irrelevant cue. They are not going to dictate my actions. They will go back and forth and probably change their opinion in the course of several days. And if I am going to follow them and let their words or their opinions dictate my actions, I will go back and forth and I will then go crazy. And so what I do focus on is the internal force and the things that I can control. And that is, why am I doing what I'm doing? Okay. And what am I doing to get there? Within that too, those are the things that are really important. If this person's a friend and they have these things to say, well, all right, well, you can believe that. You can have these. Well, okay, well, why would you want to change? Well, here's why I'm doing what I'm doing, and this is what I'm doing to get there, as I stated earlier. If that person is still not able to understand, that's okay. They do not have to understand, because they are not going to be deciding why I do what I do. I have a smile on my face though, because those things do become frustrating at times, and I can understand that. But I kind of come from a personal philosophy of, like, I don't follow people, I don't wait on people.
Cool.
I'm going to do what I'm going to be doing. If you are with me, you are with me. If you are not, you are not. I am not following you. I am not following what you think I should or should not be doing, because I know why I'm doing what I'm doing and what I'm doing to get there. Speaking about this is a great way of showing your accomplishments, showing your progress too, is that being an accomplished drummer, filmmaker and a chess player and skateboarder as a kid, those were all things that were not evident. You could never see them. You didn't know I was a great skateboarder unless I had a skateboard with me. And why fitness is such a huge thing for me also, and even for somebody who's doing a self restart, is this is a way that you can visibly show people that you have restarted yourself without ever having to tell them anything, because it's actually evident in seeing you. So that's why I enjoy bodybuilding in such a strong way, is because people can see me from 2 years ago and be like, man, Jordan, what have you been doing? Yeah, like, you know what, man, I just kept on going. It's all about longevity. And even for somebody who is, developing a self restart, I would strongly encourage you to make a fitness goal one of your priorities as well, because it's a great way of defining yourself in a way that's visible to yourself and to other people also. Within those visible components can be all the other areas that are not so visible. So if it's that now you developed, you went out for 10 more interviews than you did the year before. Well, that's awesome. And that should be applauded. And then it also can be made visible through whatever fitness goal you have. So while people may see, wow, you really put some good strength on, or you've lost some weight. Well, you can also say this is indicative of me now looking for more job interviews, going for a higher level of education, all those other things that are not so tangible, not so visible.
Dude, that is an amazing point. You said some great stuff that I'd love to pull away from this interview, especially, you're able to see that restart within, and that's very true. And, the great thing about this whole interview with you, and the reason why I had to bring you on here, not once did we talk about, the things that you have to take or to eat, or the specific ideas that you have to do to find change. The change is within you. It's just bringing it out. And that's what I love talking to you, because you really pull that out, and you really show people, I think, a different view of fitness and health, And to kind of wrap this conversation up, if I was to come up to you and say, Jordan, we've been friends for 5 years, my life isn't going where I want it to go, 2014 is coming up here, the new year, I want to do a full-on transformation of Jake Nawrocki. Do you give me something, a book that you read, a tip, ideas, your philosophy, kind of give me a wrap-up summary here, so to kind of give me a point and a direction to carry forth in the new year?
I would really go back to what I said was my mantra, was that small, consistent changes produce dramatic results. That's really what I would say. There's so many great books out there. There's so many awesome trainers out there. There's so many great things you can do, but if nothing else, that can be transcended into every other area as small changes. And it's taking a assessment of, it's finding where you are right now and where you want to be, what you're going to do intermittently to get there, and making adjustments to your diet, adjustments to your workout regimen, adjustments to your own stress release and rest and recovery, and making them realistic and making them tangible. and making them specific, measurable, accountable, realistic, and within a time frame. And truly understanding that this is a process of longevity. It's not just an overnight thing. It's about going for the long haul in a way that is visible for other people and showing them the progress that you've made. There's so much information out there, and I would encourage people to look into all those specifics that you just noted out as far as what to eat, how to work out, all those things. And that's all available. But I think what's specific for me being here is those things that I've just mentioned.
Yeah, no, that's a great summary. And that's, again, you didn't name one book that everybody has to read or something like that. It's all within everybody. If you're listening to this, I hope that you guys found great value in Jordan Ponder's insight on fitness and health. And to let all you guys know, he is taking a break of competition because he has a third child on the way. So this guy is still rocking it, still doing the hustle. And, I hope you guys pulled away some great information. Jordan, honestly, thank you so much for coming on here. And I think from the conversation we just had, the people out there listening will want to have you back on here again.
Yeah, absolutely. I really appreciate it. It was a lot of fun. And Jake, I want to thank you for doing what you're doing as well. You're doing a great thing here also and motivating people, and I'm just glad to be a part of it.
Cool. Awesome. Thanks, Jordan. So thanks again to Jordan Ponder for coming on the podcast. I really believe those tips are simple, effective, healthy habits for you to start a new you, a better you. And the thing that he has said a couple of times throughout the podcast, small changes makes huge results. You don't have to do anything wild and crazy, stop eating food for a week to start that diet or trend. It's all within you. Just small little changes makes huge results. Keep saying that to yourself, and you will find success when it comes to fitness, eating better, and just having a better, healthier life personally for yourself. And like Jordan said too, if you are looking for that reset and you want more of a physical change, if you're a physical person, you like to have those gadgets, to have those things in front of you to see the progress, well, along with a mental reset, do a physical reset. Remove those sweets and sugars, sideline those cravings with a couple of things Jordan said, prepare for those cravings with healthy alternatives. Quote that I love saying, if you fail to prepare, prepare to fail. So, and just like any tip, any idea that I bring on this podcast, and I want to do a little disclaimer because last time I brought in somebody that talked about bulletproof coffee, which is putting butter and oil in your coffee, mixing it up, and the health benefits that he saw. A lot of you guys threw some pretty harsh emails at me. And any idea that is brought up on this podcast is just another tool for the toolbox. Pick apart, don't use, maybe just realize the ideas or the techniques that people say on this podcast to your own benefit. Like Jordan said, consult your doctor, physician, make your own healthy decisions. I don't want to push anybody in any direction that they don't feel comfortable. So like always, guys, thank you so much for joining me on the Operation Self Reset podcast. Truly, I appreciate all the emails that I have been getting from you guys. And if you do have an email for me, email me at support@Operation Self Reset. And if you'd like to leave a review on iTunes for me, it would be greatly appreciated. I actually have a separate website set up to give you guys a free gift if you do leave a review. Head on over to osrpodcast.com. And there's a couple of things for you to do, and I will be sending you guys a free little gift via email. And if you guys have any personal tips or suggestions on how to bypass certain hurdles when it comes to fitness and health, head on over to operationselfreset.com/healthy habits and leave a review. You can leave a comment down below and just tell me what you found with yourself, some ideas, some things that really help you get past struggles when it comes to fitness and health. And you know what? Because Jordan, even though he's an awesome guy and he knows a lot, he doesn't have all the answers, neither do I. And you guys out there, you guys might have a golden little nugget that you want to share. Please come and share it on and with the community at operationselfreset.com/healthy habits. And one last thing before I let you guys go, we have another episode tomorrow, December 17th, with a gentleman named Brad. He started a company called Brad's Raw Foods. He has an amazing story that you guys have to hear. He started his own company. It went bankrupt. His life was spinning out of control. He came across a raw food diet. He started working out, getting his mind and body back to one to kind of find his new endeavor. And along the way, he started his current company, Brad's Raw Foods. Amazing products, amazing story, a great guy to talk to. And this is kind of to go along with our healthy theme. Again, he did this raw diet. I'm not saying you need to do it. I'm saying you need to listen to his story because I think you guys will find some great value in it. And also, too, he has a book coming out, which I will be giving away 5 free copies. So make sure you tune in tomorrow, December 17th, with Brad. Again, guys, thank you so much for taking the time and listening to the podcast. I appreciate you guys so much, and we'll talk to you guys tomorrow.